All right. Thanks everybody who's here joining us today for this quick webinar on Knowify and QuickBooks and how combined you can have a single source of truth for your construction clients and for yourself. I'm Garrant, Knowify's VP of Marketing, and I'm joined here today by Terrin Kalian, our Director of Customer Experience. So really quick, before we jump in, let's just run through our agenda. We're going to go through a quick intro, help you understand what Knowify is, who it's for, why we're here today. Terrin's going to run us through a live demonstration of the platform so you can see for yourself. We're going to run through our advisor program. If you're a QuickBooks certified advisor or a QSP partner, you'll be really familiar with all these kinds of programs. And then we'll have a quick Q&A at the end. So questions are encouraged, but I would ask that you save them until the end of the presentation. If we run out of time or we're not able to get to your question, we'll follow up with you directly and make sure it gets answered. And with that, we can jump in. So for those unfamiliar with Knowify, we're a cloud-based platform for contractors, really built from the ground up for contractors. And that's roofers, plumbers, electricians, earthworking, excavation, fire suppression, and everything between, GCs. We're not for anyone else. We're not for CPG companies. We're not for lawyers. We're not for astronauts. We're really just for contractors. And we give contractors the tools and the insights they need to run and grow and understand their business, right? You can see a list of some of the features that Knowify offers on the right there: budgeting, bidding, job costing, and those are all great. But more than that, we offer this streamlined workflow for every project that a contractor approaches. There's never any guesswork about what the next step is in a project when you're using Knowify. You follow the same steps. You start with creating a detailed budget. You create your bid from that budget. You win the job, obviously. And then from there, you can track all your costs in Knowify. That's labor costs, subcontractor costs, materials, equipment, everything between. You can schedule your team out to the job. You can send invoices out to the clients. That includes, construction-specific invoicing formats. We handle progress billing, AA style billing, whatever you need. And then you can actually process payment through the platform too, if you're interested in doing that. So that's accepting ACH or credit card payments. We handle that. So it's really from the time you get a lead in the system as a contractor all the way through invoicing the client and collecting payment. You handle that entire process in Knowify. So those are the tools to manage your team and to manage the project. But really, the biggest point of value for Knowify is the insights it gives you as a business owner, right? Knowify is going to help you understand where you're successful and where you're not. By really having this granular job costing for each project, you're able to understand where you are behind budget on a project or over budget on a project, behind schedule, which teams are most efficient. You can start to see patterns in your projects, right? Maybe I have different phases for a roofing job, and when my team gets up on the roof and starts to install the roof, that part of the job is costing me money. We're actually fabricating the roof is where I make most of my profit. So it's really the insights and the tools you need to operate and understand and grow your business. And Knowify is also for financial professionals. This is your CPAs, bookkeepers, accountants, a crucial part of the contractor ecosystem. Really, the folks who make sure that the books are clean, that folks aren't in trouble come tax time. And when combined with QuickBooks, you have this one single source of truth for financial professionals and their clients in the construction industry. And you never have to worry about entering data twice in a couple different platforms. You never have to worry about where your expenses are logged or where purchases are made. Everything syncs bi-directionally between Knowify and QuickBooks in near real time. So you really never have to worry if the data is up to date or clean or inaccurate. It's always there. It's always accurate. And this integration is highly customizable, so you can really make it work for you. And as I just alluded to, right, Knowify and QuickBooks is this single source of truth. Go in at any point into QuickBooks, understand where your business is at. Go into Knowify at any point, understand where any given job is at, understand the patterns in your jobs and where you're making money, where you're losing money. It's contractor-centric. There's no other combined solution on the market that is as focused on trade contractors as Knowify plus QuickBooks. And we grow with your business. There's different pricing tiers for Knowify. There's different pricing tiers for QuickBooks. Knowify users range from mom and pop shops all the way up to hundreds and hundreds of users and everything in between. So we really accommodate businesses at every stage, and we actually encourage businesses to, graduate into the next tier up and grow their business. Cool. So now that we have a quick overview of Knowify, who it's for, what it does, I'm going to let Terrin just take us on a quick run through of the platform and show it live so you can see for yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the handoff. Let me pull this up and I'll just check with you real quick, Cam. Can you see my screen, my Knowify account here? I don't know if you're on mute. It looks like it's working.
Sorry, I can see it there, yeah.
Cool. What I always like to do to demonstrate Knowify and how it can help contractors is I'll run through a fake project and just kind of show you the basic ins and outs of what Knowify does and how we work through this workflow of budget, bid, track, and invoice, and how that's going to work with your QuickBooks account. So you get a better understanding of not just the Knowify side of things, but what it's going to do to any QuickBooks file it's connected. And where I always like to start my demo is in this contract job screen. Here's going to be my list of different jobs I have in Knowify and the resulting profitability. I like to start here because this is really what Knowify is all about. We're not just simple project management. We really focus heavily on how much am I spending, how much am I making, and when I'm spending money, what did I expect to spend? Not just my total cost, but my cost versus budget, and if I'm over or under that projection. This way, as I have more and more projects in the future, I could see where I've done better, where I've done worse, and make adjustments to make sure that I'm as profitable as possible on every job that I run through Knowify. And so I'll start by adding a new job and walk through this process where we are going to start by estimating a cost, and then we're going to be bidding a price to the client. And it's going to prompt me for a client name when I get started here. And this client database is actually synced up with my QuickBooks client database, and it's a bidirectional sync. So if I add a new client to Knowify, it's going to push that client into QuickBooks. But also I can work in the other direction where any new clients in QuickBooks sync to Knowify. It's just a way for you to make sure you're using the software you're most comfortable with and it all syncs up. We have a variety of different types of contract style in Knowify. Most commonly, fixed price is going to give us all of that detailed progress invoicing that a lot of contractors will need, whether it's in a percentage of completion, whether it's in draws. And it also allows us to manage change orders. So as the scope of work changes, you can send signable documents to the customer, you can invoice additional amounts, and it's all calculated as the revenue on that same project. We also do AIA style progress billing, which is very popular in construction, and we can work with cost plus contracts or recurring appointment contracts, a lot of different options, but I like to start with fixed price. A lot of other fields here are optional, like setting up a job site address, which helps with time tracking. Knowify also does sync with QuickBooks Time, so you can pull time entries from QuickBooks Time into Knowify for job costing. But where I'm going to get started here is building out my budget for this job. And this is going to be broken down into phases. And you can see that when I'm naming a phase, I can actually reference the QuickBooks product and service database. And this is going to be relevant for job costing purposes, that QuickBooks Time Sync if we want to use it, and also later on invoicing purposes, and you'll see how that comes into play. And for my materials budget, I can always just write in, $3,000 for materials or $4,000 for labor. And this is nice because it's going to give us a target value that we want to be spending. When I'm done with the project, I should have spent $7,000 on electrical roughing. But what we can also do is get more detailed when we build out budgets, where I could say add materials and reference that product and service database that we have in QuickBooks. So it automatically pulls in items with values. So all I need to put in is the quantity of everything I need to order, and Knowify will generate the materials budget for me. Similarly, with labor, let's say I don't know how much it's going to cost me in labor as a lump sum, but I do know how many hours it'll take. I can come select different types of users that I have in my account. I need a foreman, I need a tradesman, the foreman for 80 hours, the tradesman for 120, and this builds out a labor budget. So now I have a better idea of how much I'm going to spend, and I'll see how close I was when putting together this budgeted number of hours. So I mentioned earlier this budget, bid, track, and invoice workflow. This is the budgeting side. Knowify is telling me it should cost me around $22,000 to complete this project. So now I get into bidding, where I click Create Proposal. And we want to use that information that we have to help the contractor build a proposal. So we'll help them fill in a contract number if we need, any information we have about the client. And we start building a contract with every phase of the project. So I can say add 50% to whatever I had or whatever your percentage is preferred. And it takes your budget, marks it up 50%, and fills in the pricing that you should quote to the client. This can always be adjusted. The markup percentages are mostly just to kind of speed up the process. We also do things like pull in descriptions of work if you have a pre-built phase. Again, that's kind of some of the benefit to using the product and service database from QuickBooks. And this is actually going to build a proposal document in Knowify, which is sendable directly to the customer, and they can sign it through Knowify. So again, we're kind of just making sure that no one has to jump out of Knowify, move between systems, build the documents in their Word, and email it out. It can all be done through one place. And I'll just go ahead and make this active manually, since we won't have to get this signed. And it's going to make the job available for now job costing. So again, for my budget, bid, track, and invoice workflow, now we're getting into tracking. How much have I spent on this job versus that budget that I laid out? And when I'm back in this section where I've built the budget, you can see it showing me 0 spend versus 22,000 budgeted. And if I want, I can really simply enter in cost by just saying, allocate materials. We used wire, and we used, let's just call it 1,400 feet of wire. And I can quickly just add a material cost to the job and update my reporting. But in the interest in getting everything a little bit more automated, never having to enter the same information twice, I can also do things like reference my budget from earlier and just say create purchase, select which items I want to buy here. We'll plug in a vendor, and the vendor database, just like your client, is synced up with QuickBooks in both directions. And it generates a purchase order that I can email to the vendor directly through Knowify. So you can see that in this case, we're using our budget from earlier and now simultaneously generating and tracking cost, because Knowify is creating the purchase order that's sent to the vendor, but it's also adding this as part of the cost to date on the job. Then I also have the ability to log my bills in Knowify. So if I were to say add new bill from Home Depot, Knowify remembers everything I've ordered from Home Depot and automatically references this. So I could say I got a bill from Home Depot, here's the bill number, I need to pay it by the 31st. We can upload the PDF document if you have one on file. I'll confirm which items from my purchase orders are on this bill, and I can adjust pricing. Let's say I actually was incorrect when I said the purchase order, and here's the final amount on the bill. Submitting this bill in Knowify will update my job costing. It'll show me how much I owe Home Depot, and it'll log this bill in my QuickBooks account for me, so I don't need to actually enter it twice. This check mark is going to confirm that it's synced, and if I say View in QuickBooks, it's going to show me the transaction that was generated by Knowify. Now we can get very detailed with our chart of accounts and how we end up mapping everything from Knowify to QuickBooks. In this case, I'm using item sync. So since I had those items entered as specific products, they show up here. And I could see, how many of this sheet of strand board I order, how many of these studs of lumber I've been billed for. And with my sync to QuickBooks, I can actually log a payment and it'll sync back to Knowify. Or I can log my payments in Knowify, and those will sync over to QuickBooks and close out the bills that we're generating as well. Now, when I go back and check on the project, I'll be able to see my updated material cost, and it's going to show me which phase the material cost is going towards as well to give me a little bit more detail. Now, when it comes to labor costing, we use a loaded labor burden associated with each employee to track the time and the cost. So if I wanted to say, Brian Wilson submitted 8 hours, that'll update the cost of my job. I also have the ability of building out a schedule. So what was my job number here? 56, perfect. I could say I'm working on job 56 on framing. We'll be starting today and done on the 4th. This adds a job to the calendar so I can look at who's available and I can grab a crew and I can assign them to this job. So it pops something up on their phone to let them know what they're supposed to be working on. And they can open up the Knowify app to start tracking their time, entering purchases, anything along those lines as well. This also makes it so if I'm adding time, anyone who's scheduled to work on the job will have this show up first, this job show up first for them. And a foreman has the ability to enter time, just like I showed you earlier, where they can just select what they're working on and it says, here's the scheduled crew for that job, and submit time here. Time will go in for review, so whoever's in charge of approving time will then sync it over to QuickBooks. And if you don't want the time to sync to QuickBooks, let's say you're using QuickBooks time and that automatically syncs or anything like that, we also run reports on all of this time, so you can get an Excel sheet of the hours in any format that helps out whenever you're tracking time and cost. And now, checking on this job again, I'll be able to see an updated labor cost. And again, the real benefit here is that it's not just total cost, $5,800 out of $22,000 spent, but I see it at each phase of the job as well. So I can see where I'm making or losing more money than expected as we go through the life of the project. I can also expand any of these to see a little bit more information than just total cost versus budget at a phase by phase level. So it's showing me what items were ordered out of how many were in the budget. I can mark items as received. I can see PO numbers and whether or not we've received a bill and how many hours it's taken me versus how many were budgeted. So as things change, as prices change for labor and materials and construction, I can always still see how many hours it takes me to complete jobs like this, how many materials I needed to buy to complete this. So regardless of what the dollar figure is, as a contractor, I'm going to have a really good job, ability to budget all of these jobs as we move forward, just by referencing how things worked in the past. Then once we're past job costing, if we want to start sending invoices for the work completed, it looks like we're just about a quarter of the way through this project. I can come back to my contract, select Invoice Now, and I can either invoice a percentage of either line, 25%, 25%, or I could do it in dollar figures, or I could do a percentage of the entire contract, or a dollar figure on the entire contract. In this case, we'll get a little bit detailed with this. I'll say, I want to invoice the first half of rough-in and the first quarter of framing. When I finalize this, it'll still sync to QuickBooks, but I can also email an invoice document directed to my client. And again, the concept here is that if we're managing this through Knowify and emailing it to the customer, then when they pay it, we could still log a payment in QuickBooks or Knowify. It works either way. I'll go ahead and check this out in QuickBooks. And again, we're going to try to get as detailed and accurate of a sync as possible. So we have the corresponding product or service marked on each line, so you can still get your good revenue reporting in QuickBooks using the invoices that are generated in Knowify. If I mark a payment as received in QuickBooks, whether I do it manually or we use QuickBooks Payment or anything else along those lines, that'll close out the QuickBooks invoice. And if I come back to Knowify and I run a sync, we'll see an invoice payment was created by QuickBooks, and that invoice is going to show me as closed and fully paid. And I'll get all of that detailed reporting on where we stand on this job to date. That's really the basics of what I like to show in the demo, just kind of show how Knowify can be used to view a real-time profitability of a job and how it's all going to sync into QuickBooks as we go. And then if we have any other questions, I think we're going to do a Q&A at the end if I'm not mistaken, but I'll hand it back over to Cam.
All right. Thanks for that, Terrin. Let's jump ahead here. Now that we've seen it, I'd love to explain our advisor program to you folks. So our advisor program is called CCAN, Construction Company Advisor Network. If you are involved in software partnerships with Intuit or any other provider, you'll be really familiar with the structure here. But essentially, we have 3 tiers of partnership. We have our advisors, our certified advisors, and then we do have a special tier for QSPs. So folks who are in Intuit's QSP program can reach out to us directly, and we'll be happy to go into some more detail on that partnership with you. But first and foremost, this advisor, the first tier, the advisors, right? Your responsibility as an advisor is strictly to refer us the client. Bring the client to us. We'll work with you to help understand your client's needs. You're happy to join us on a demo, but the only responsibility that falls to you as part of this program is just to bring the client our way and kind of explain the nature of your relationship. The benefit for you as a partner here is you get half of the subscription revenue from the first 4 months of our client after they've been a client with us for 8 months. If you're interested in being involved in this, you just need to talk to me. So my email will be at the end of this presentation. Just shoot me an email. It's fairly straightforward to get involved at this level. The next level up is our certified advisors. We have a certification test so you can get more well-versed in Knowify and act as a line of support to your clients who are using the platform. It takes about 5 hours to run through full certification. There's a number of videos and accompanying quizzes that will help you become more well-versed and be able to answer any questions your clients may have. The responsibilities are a little bit more in depth at this tier. The expectation on our end is that folks refer the client our way. We'll walk them through a demo with you as needed, help them understand the product, help you get set up. But from there, really, you should act as the first line of support for your client. That being said, our support team is great. Our customer success team is awesome, and we're always here to help. We're always here to answer any questions folks may have, so don't feel like you're alone. But the bulk of the workload related to implementation and support in this tier goes to the advisor. And frankly, most advisors prefer that relationship. Here you get a really cool perk. It's 20% discount for all your clients indefinitely for life. They get 20% off Knowify. And you have this really nice admin dashboard where you can log in as an advisor, see all your clients' accounts, go in. Your license on all of your clients' accounts is free. If we were to talk about pricing, there is user pricing, but advisor accounts are always free. So you can log into your client's account, see what they're doing, make sure your sync is set up correctly, and offer them any advice that you want to give them. And then finally, like I said, QSP Partners, please reach out to me directly. There's obviously some nuance to being a QSP and working with other QSPs, and we're fully aware of that. And so we'd love to talk to you directly. We already have a lot of great QSP relationships that have been super successful. So we'd love to emulate those with you if you are a QSP. To just get in touch there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I'd love to leave some time here for Q&A. We try to take that pretty quick to make sure we have time to answer any questions folks may have. So with that, I think we can just jump in. Feel free, if you have not already, to leave your questions here. Looks like we have one here. I mentioned that Knowify was designed for trade contractors. Yeah, I may have said trade contractors, sorry. I think I also did mention GCs, but really we're for anyone in the construction industry that does multi-day projects, right? So if you do a job that lasts more than a day, you can see a ton of value out of Knowify. And we have folks that do 2-day jobs. We have folks that do 2-year jobs, literally, in Knowify, and track every single phase and every single piece of material that goes into that job through Knowify. So as long as you're doing multi-day jobs, we accommodate that really well. And I can probably flesh out that explanation a little bit more, too, for everybody. Knowify is really built for folks who do contract jobs and service jobs. If you strictly do service work, if you don't do any multi-day projects, there are, frankly, better solutions out there than Knowify. But if your client is doing some combination of service work where they're going out and doing service calls, so they're doing dispatch to folks' houses and things like that, and they're doing contract jobs that take multiple days, we're a great fit, and we have tons of clients that use us in that way. If they're strictly doing contract jobs, that's great too. that's also a really, really good fit for us.
And I think one thing I'd like to kind of follow up on with that, because there was specifically a reference to custom home builders, remodelers, and production builders. The big difference with custom home builders is they usually aren't hiring their own laborers, right? They're hiring subcontractors, but they don't have people tracking time in the field. Whereas a remodeler or production builder, they probably do need to track their labor cost. And as we saw during the demonstration, that's a big part of what Knowify is providing is real-time labor costing. And so when we talk about trade contractors, we're mainly talking about people who have both labor and material costs to track in the field.
Thanks, Terrin. Another question here. Do you assist customers with migrating their data, and what is your process? Terrin, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So we do help to the best of our ability. I do always say, at the end of the day, we're really good at teaching people Knowify. We can get it to sync with QuickBooks, but there's some migrations that are definitely a little bit outside our scope of ability. And in situations like that, we're actually very open to sending referrals to companies that are experts in Knowify migration, whether that's on the Knowify side or from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online or a Zero to QuickBooks Online. Those are things that we're always looking for partners to help us with, so we can send references out to make sure that our customers are in the best of hands.
Awesome. Thanks, Terrin. How does pricing work? Yeah, we offer 3 tiers of pricing. We have our launch package, our grow package, and our enterprise package. And they're really for they're named that way intentionally, right? It's for each stage of that business. When you're just launching your business and maybe you just need, a really strong financial view of where you're at, you need a way to keep things organized, kind of a central repository for your expenses and purchases. Some basic project management at that point, some basic team management, but not much beyond that. And then we have our growth tier for those businesses that are really looking to scale up. And growth for a lot of folks, right? There's 2 different angles to it. It's I want to take on more projects and I want to hire more employees, or maybe it's just I want to really fine tune my operations because I know there's margin there to be had that I'm missing out on. And really the tools in that tier of pricing are built for either of those use cases. And then finally, our enterprise pricing tier, a little bit higher up, right? If you need some more advanced reporting, advanced scheduling, you are going to be managing subcontractors and things like that. You can do that all in our enterprise tier. We offer monthly packages or annual packages. We do have a 14-day trial as well, so you can go in and try out the platform. There's no credit card or commitment required for that. We're happy to walk you through on a demo and give you as much support as you need during that period of time. And I think that pretty much sums it. And there is additional user pricing on top of that too, per user pricing. Does Knowify handle other languages, specifically Spanish? That's a great question. Yep, Knowify is entirely localized for Spanish. If you're interested in seeing that version of the platform, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to make sure you get all set with that. Let's see. Do you offer sandbox accounts for partners to try out Knowify? We do, yep. Again, just reach out to me as part of this program. We'll make sure you get set up with a sandbox account. It's an indefinite license. You can use it as long as you like. Comes with every feature available in Knowify. And that way you can walk your clients through and answer any questions they may have before they go in and set up their own trial and get started. Let's see here. Terrin, do you want to take the next one here?
Yeah, we're looking at question 10.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a question of if Knowify integrates with QuickBooks Desktop Pro. We should be able to integrate with any kind of QuickBooks Desktop, I think, from 2018 onward, so it shouldn't really be too big of an issue. We do always encourage people to sync with QuickBooks Online. So again, this is why we're always happy to have migration partners. We do find that because Knowify is cloud-based, the best workflow for the client is to connect to another cloud-based solution. But since a lot of construction is still using QuickBooks Desktop, we do have a solution there as well where you can connect your data into QBD instead. And it's worth noting that it's only the Windows QuickBooks Desktop. We can't work with QuickBooks Desktop Mac.
Awesome, thanks, Terrin. And then Is QuickBooks integration available at every tier of pricing? It is. Yep. Every tier of pricing for Knowify. You have access to our QuickBooks integration. I will say for when we integrate with QuickBooks Online Advanced, if you'd like, we can actually sync projects with QuickBooks Online Advanced. That's a really cool feature that I don't believe any other platform in the construction software market offers. I believe, Terrin, for that, correct me if I'm wrong, you do need to be on our Growth or Enterprise package to sync with QuickBooks Online Advanced. Is that correct?
I think you should be able to do it on other plans, but we'll have to double check that one.
Got it. Okay. All right. It looks like that's it. If there's any last minute questions, feel free to drop them in here. Give everyone a few seconds. All right. Well, if that's that, then thank you all so much for your time. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this was useful. I hope it was informational. And I hope to hear from you all. Please reach out to me. You can see my email here. It's just cam@knowify.com. Super easy to remember. Reach out if you're a QSP. Reach out if you're not a QSP and you're interested in just learning more about our advisor program or about the platform for your own business. We're here to help, and I look forward to talking to many of you in the future. Thank you.